making sure, always double checking, making sure like, restaurants use halal meat, like finding like, where they source their meat from and stuff like that. Like that's really important to us too, because that's what our audience likes to see too. And that has been like back and forth. Like there's like conversations on like, our DMs, like back and forth, like, hey, like, like, so where do you supply? Like, what's your halal meat supplier and stuff like that. And like, now we made it easier because now we have like a form that they fill out. So we don't have to like really do that back and forth. So that they just like tell us.
The Halal Food Podcast by Halalrun, the #1 guide to halal eating options in the US, Canada, and the UK. Welcome on our podcast. We feature inspiring and accomplished Muslims in the West from all backgrounds. We talk to them about their lives and about the halal places where they love to eat. Today, we feature part 3 of our 3-part conversation with the New York City halal blogging phenomenon, MuslimFoodies. 3 friends, Tahirah, Jiniya, and Sameen, who got together to try to get the news out about what are great halal places to eat in NYC, and they end up creating a phenomenon and now have close to 100,000 followers on Instagram. We've talked to them a lot about how they got together, how they work together, and of course, some of their halal recommendations. And in this last part, we talk more about halal places that they recommend, but we also go deep into what motivates them and some of the challenges they've faced in this endeavor. If you enjoy what you're listening to, make sure to hit that like button. And now, without any delay, let's jump to the conversation. Awesome. All right. So speaking of spot, I'm going to put the 3 of you on the spot now, which is as follows. So you all spent a lot of time in my hood, right? Years in the, well, it wasn't my hood at the time. I moved up here a couple of years ago, but it's my hood now. And I know it's been a while. There's been changeovers, whatever. But what were your favorite, if any, if there were any, halal restaurants like in this area? Like where should I go eat if I don't want to go a long way?
Mine is going to be Village Fried Chicken.
Oh, yes. I live very close to that. Yes.
Yeah, that's why I started laughing. So I'm like, it's not like, a really fancy restaurant. It's really just a chicken spot. But they had like this snack wrap that really worked well for the college students' budget. It was crack for us, honestly. Like we would go and we would walk and we would grab the Village. Junior's probably going to be like, I can't believe you said it's crack.
It is crack.
Yeah. Like, they had,
Yeah, they might use crack. Who knows, right?
For the area as well, like when we went there really wasn't, like you had a few halal carts, but sometimes you don't want chicken over rice or lamb over rice all the time.
Okay, I said tarbouche was also very good.
Oh yeah, tarbouche. I don't know. Village was my spot. I would that snack wrap and some fries, cup of soda. We're good to go for the rest of the day.
I remember one day we bought like 20 snack wraps for like, the whole MSA. They're like $2. Well, back then it was $2. I don't know how much it is now. I haven't been there.
Oh yeah, I really
in 5 years, but
yeah, probably $2.
It was $2, and sometimes we would just come back to the campus with like bags of snack wraps. But yeah, it was really good.
And like he'll know, or like the owner or the person at the front desk would know, front counter would know our numbers. Like he'll be like, okay, so what's the big order now, guys? And we just be like, yeah, we're gonna be there in 10 minutes, 15 minutes. Have X, Y, and Z ready. And like he saw us walk into the store. He was like, okay, this is gonna be a really big order. And he pretty much almost knew our orders. Like you're gonna have this and you're gonna have that, but everything was just good.
That's awesome. I mean, Sameen mentioned falafel tarbouche, which is literally on my corner, and down the. I love them.
I haven't gone there in a really long time, so I don't honestly I just remember that they were just very good, and I don't know if like their quality changed, but like during when I was in college, I did like that was one of the spots that like I did go to a lot often.
They're still good.
Okay, thank you.
I'm gonna have one in a couple of hours. It's like my Saturday indulgence is their shawarma chicken sandwich.
If you're talking about all of Manhattan, I'm not sure if you're like upper, like I don't know if you're just talking about like the Upper East Side, Upper West Side, but like or like Harlem. But I know like in Manhattan specifically, like I just thought of another one, and I love Azad. I don't know if you went there, but it's like an Indian restaurant. It's like a modern twist to like Indian cuisine, and I think that's what I love about it, because it's the first time that when I went to an Indian restaurant, like I saw like all these like interesting things on the menu. They have like jackfruit curry. They have like this tandoori pineapple that I like think about all the time. Every time I'm like there, I don't know if it's weird to just go there and just order a tandoori pineapple and then leave, but like honestly, if I could, I would do it every single time because it was just so good. But Ghazab has like a really good menu. I love all of it. I think I love everything on like the appetizer menu. The entrees are good too, but I definitely enjoy their appetizers a lot. They have really good appetizers.
Awesome. All right, so shifting gears a bit, uh, the halal or the food sort of blogging reviewing community tends to be kind of very supportive. A lot of them know one another. Some of them work together and collaborate, and a lot of them sort of like take inspiration from one another. Who are some of the other kind of like food bloggers or other bloggers, halal or not, right? Either in New York and other cities, who like you like to check out or you think do a good job?
I think like as we started the blog, we didn't really have a foundation to look up to really. It was more like, what the mainstream food blog accounts were and what they were doing. We're like, oh, well, let's just do that, but like in a halal style. But I think more recently, um, we've kind of looked up to this account called Righteous Eats. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but it's run by three guys. There's Jakey, um, Rob, and oh my god, I'm forgetting the other guy's name. But it's Jakey and Rob, mostly on camera. And they do such wonderful, wonderful community work throughout New York City, like highlighting mom and pop businesses, highlighting just such great food. They even do like halal food. They even had us on an episode, and it was just really fun. They're such wonderful people. They're great guys, and they're just such an inspirational account, and like we kind of just take that into account as well, into like incorporating that kind of value into our account, and trying to just uplift these businesses and really promote that kind of that sentimental value in these communities. um yeah, Righteous Eats is one of them.
Any others? Sameen, Tahirah?
No, I was like, like Righteous Eats really does hold a special place for Muslim foodies. But like an account for me would probably be Food Baby New York or NY. And I think like one thing I really loved about them is that the way that they incorporate restaurant blogging with like showcasing your family aspect, like to have like that theme go through their entire blog. Like that was something that we wanted to incorporate, having like something quintessentially Muslim foodies. So that was something important to us. But I also feel like it's what they do and like they incorporate humor, cuteness into their videos. That's while also highlighting from the restaurant. Like they're not taking away anything from the restaurant, but it's also just incorporating that personality into it. Was really something special. And I also really like the golden balance. He's not a restaurant blogger, but he's a chef. And again, like he has like his little key phrases that he says, like, na bismillah after before he eats. So like little things like that. Like he's also like this front person, a lot of people are like, oh, you don't see like men in kitchen, but he's like whipping up all these dishes and whipping up from like a million different cuisines. So I also like really enjoy watching his blog. And I think, again, like something that we try to incorporate within Muslim Foodies is to have our blog be us. Like we also want to showcase us, but also highlight all these restaurants and make it like a big community essentially.
I think aside from those, like outside of New York, I don't really follow that many blogs aside from like what I see in TikTok, but like I do follow uh halal food blogs outside of New York, like DMV, like Halal Eats, and like Not Your Average Halal, and so places in like Toronto and like places I want to visit, like I'll follow like those blogs, and I mean they do have, or at least like I feel like, I think that's like those are the like the DMV area and like obviously Toronto, like that is like what I want like New York to be. Like those are like I want New York to be as packed with halal food, like as like have that much variety and stuff like that. So I do follow them a lot, and in hopes that like that like we're gonna go, like we go visit and like we'll try all that food, but like I hope that other people follow them too, because I want them to like get ideas and like open these things in New York City as well, because not easy to go to Toronto all the time. But yeah, I think those are like, yeah, like food blogs in Toronto and food blogs in like the DMV area are like other like food blogs we kind of like, follow up with.
Great. Well, so, and then broadening the question a little bit, right? We are at Halalrun, we're about Muslims celebrating all Muslims, right? Inspiring Muslims in the West uh, we admire, look up to, or just admire. I mean, we are, we're a community, a growing community, and we like when the community is supportive of other members. So, who are a few or a couple or any Muslims in the West that you admire, you think are doing a good job in any walk of life, right? And they can be like superstars, or they can be just community leaders or anything. Like who do you admire? Who do you think is doing a good job being a role model for the community? And again, food or otherwise. So I'll throw it out there, any of you, and we'll get to all of you.
So I think all of us collectively, we think that Islamic figures, a lot of like the Western Islamic figures, like Umar Salman, Yasir Fadi, and like obviously like many more. Like I think we admire them the most because they do a good job in like educating like the Muslim community, the Muslim Ummah, in like a way like the younger generation, in the way that the younger generation like understands and like appreciates, and like so like things like that, like trying to bridge the gap between like the younger and the older generation, like trying to have like they do like they have like lectures, like they have like videos and like on like with where they have like like people of like all ages, like adults and like kids in general, and like having like conversation, like trying to like they take like they like talk about both sides, and like I think yeah, so like Islamic figures, and I think for me specifically, like I don't know if like anyone knows, but like Sonny B Williams, he's like a Australian he's Australian uh rugby ex like former rugby player, and I think now he does like boxing or something. So he's like I don't know him outside of like social media obviously, but like he's like he's like a revert, he's like a Muslim revert, and his social media page is basically like it just he's very like active, and he's very he's I guess like he's very proud of his Muslim identity on social media, and I love to see that, because like someone that's like technically like a celebrity in like Australia, and like maybe like even around the world people know him, like to be openly like talking about Islam, and like and how it like how it incorporates in his daily life and stuff like that, is something that I very admire, because you don't really see that. I mean, there are a lot of Muslim celebrities, but like you don't really see that often, or like you don't see like a lot of like even like Muslim born celebrities that like kind of put them like I guess like promote Islam in the way that he does, which I think is like really good, because it's still a form of like dawah basically, like so he does have a lot of non-Muslim followers, so that's what I see it as.
I would definitely say Malcolm X. Reading his book, I think when I was in high school, I think it was by Alex Haley. That's like one of the stories that really, really stick out to me, and I really just appreciate how reflective he was and how committed he was to Islam and his faith, and just really fought for Black civil rights throughout America. And just reading, you just have to read his book. It's incredible. It's so good.
And like personally for me, like I'm with Sameen, Imam Suleiman. He's been I don't know, like one of those key figures, and I think like one reason that I personally look up to him is that obviously there's the halal aspect of food, but again, like I feel like these scholars and especially in the West, like they're really, like how Sameen said, like they're really bridging that gap. They're really putting Islam in the forefront, but it's not you don't feel like it's hounding on you, and just to be educated on like a halal lifestyle and a halal food, essentially, like that gap for me has always been meaningful. And I think halal is not just eating, okay, we're just gonna have chicken, beef, no pork. There's so much of what halal entails that people like Imam Suleiman, like Imam Khalil Latif, like they're really putting it into our young generation, and I think that's really hard to do in the West, but they're doing a stellar job at it.
So great. Let's let's move on to my last sort of question or two. Probably last question. For each of you, what has been the most challenging and the most rewarding thing about the whole MuslimFoodies journey?
That is a very loaded question
Yeah.
I know.
that I don't think we will finish in 2 minutes.
I know. I think for for me, like specifically, the most challenging thing, like I guess like for Muslim foodies or just like visiting restaurants and stuff, is just the fact that we're not just I guess posting new halal restaurants on our page. It's we're also like reviewing them. So just like having to go to a restaurant and review a restaurant and put it out there. We can't like we want to be as we try to be as real as possible, right? So um being like just trying to like find a way to understand like okay, yeah, like this is a new restaurant, so we have to give it some time, and we have come up with like strategies where we're like if there's something that if we think that a restaurant was like lacking, we'll like let the owners know, and or we'll or we'll just we will give that we understand that they need time to kind of like build up to I guess like kind of like settle down and have like a good have I guess basically have a good menu and stuff like that, and be able to like give quality food, so we can't like just judge them based on just like our first visit or when they just open and stuff like that. Trying to I guess like making our reviews as real as possible, but also not like really bringing down the restaurant, like still putting all like the positive lights about it and stuff like that. That has been I don't like yeah challenging, but it has been that is something that we really think about a lot. And also finding just like new I mean just I guess making sure we do just always double checking, always like making sure restaurants use halal meat, finding where they source their meat from and stuff like that. Like that's really important to us too, because that's what our audience likes to see too. And that has been back and forth. Like, there's conversations on our DMs back and forth, hey, so where do you get where do you supply, what's your halal meat supplier and stuff like that. And now we've kind of a little bit made it we made it easier, because now we have a form that they fill out, so we don't have to really do that back and forth, so that they just tell us, which is really good. But but always double checking, making sure hey, there's no, especially if it's a non-Muslim restaurant, there's no cross contamination, things like that, that has been difficult. And then just reading negative comments on on our social media posts, people either whether it's about us or whether it's about the restaurant itself, because it's so hard to it's we obviously it's a review page, so it's our opinion, and just telling people that hey, this is our basically our main thing is we're bringing this restaurant to you, and every review take it as a grain of salt, and we still want you to go try the restaurant on your own, and have because every time you go to a restaurant, you're gonna have a different experience, right? So just telling that to our audience, you should still go try this restaurant, this is just solely our review, everyone has different taste buds, everyone has different ideas of what they think is I guess I don't know, people have people base the reviews on different things, maybe they think the price is the price worth it, the food is good but the price is maybe really high, so then they're oh, it's not worth it. But I mean but the food is still good though, right? So that doesn't mean I mean, you should still try it. So just trying to tell people hey, just let's not let's limit the negativity, we should, everyone should just try the restaurant for themselves, to kind of have their own opinion on it. And but then also don't be too harsh to the restaurants. I mean, for us it's fine, you can be harsh to us, I mean not really, but we'll take it, but also don't be too hard to the restaurants, because it's not a nice thing to see, for even restaurant owners, that especially constructive criticism is fine, but a lot of the times we'll see people are just really mean on the comments, and we're just oh my god, we want to respond back to them, but it's so hard to respond to everyone, and so we kind of just yeah, that's been challenging.
It's extremely, we've learned this the hard way, it's very extremely hard to please everyone, so we try to not make that the focus point. um so we try to just do what we can and kind of do what's right, what's objectively right, because at the end of the day, again, this is our reviews, this is our personal experience, we are making people aware of that fact. And if if people want to say mean things, and unfortunately that has been the issue for a lot of restaurants and in a lot of our comment sections. But overwhelmingly, we get a lot of overwhelmingly supportive feedback and supportive people who, really just like what we do and appreciate what we're doing. And it does get challenging in terms of the fact that we there's a lot of restaurants that want us to come, and it's just very hard to like manage, and all our bandwidths is very, 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 very difficult to prioritize. And even just amongst ourselves, we kind of just want to like talk amongst ourselves, saying like, oh, where should we go next? Like trying to decide where we should go next is very hard as well, because we all have different perspectives and how and why we want to go to that restaurant. And it does get a little difficult to pinpoint down like, oh, what are the 2 restaurants we should like hit up next week, or like stuff like that. But overwhelmingly the response is very, very great, and we're just super, super appreciative of people who are following us and saying great things, and just supporting us. We don't take that for granted at all.
Like, we really, really love you guys. Or else we'd be like, I don't think like we would be doing this and focusing so heavy on Muslim foodies if we really didn't love our followers, if we really didn't love our like the restaurants opening up. And I think that's the part that's most rewarding to me is when a restaurant would message us back after we came, and they're just like, so many people came and so many people love our food, and they really have that exposure. Like that's what we really want. We want to see like these businesses succeed. We want to see everybody just enjoying good food and good company. One of my specifically favorite things about Muslim foodies is that people use our blogs for when their friends, like even like the non-Muslims are gonna use it, because if their Muslim friends are coming in from out of town, they're like, okay, like where do we find a good spot? Like these 3 girls went there and they reviewed it and they said like the food is X, Y, and Z. And we always put a disclaimer that really, like, again, it's our opinion. Your experience at the restaurant may be different from when we went, but overall I feel like we're very accurate and very like we try to be as real as possible, be as transparent as possible. So when people come back and they're just like, yeah, my friend came out of town and I took them to X, Y, and Z place and they loved it, and they're like, people use our blog for not just their personal use, but to catering to other people's needs too. Like that's always something super special to me, and a purpose of Muslim foodies.
Yeah, no, that's an amazing. It's amazing, amazing perspectives and an amazing journey. And ladies, I am so appreciative of the fact that you've taken the time today to talk to us, and obviously on behalf of not just the Halal Run team and community, but also New Yorkers who eat halal. Thank you so much for the service you've done for the community, because it's super, super valuable. People want to know where to eat, and we turn to kind of reviewers like yourself to sort through kind of all the noise. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
And we hope to have you again, inshallah.
Inshallah.
All right. Assalamu alaikum, everybody.
Thank you. Walaikum salam.
Thanks for joining us. Halal Run is the #1 guide to halal eating options in the US, Canada, and UK. We have over 17,000 listings in our directory in over 2,500 cities across North America and the UK. You can find us on our website, halalrun.com, or on all our socials, where everywhere we are at Halal Run. If you enjoyed today's episode, please make sure to subscribe so we can bring you more content just like this. We are here to serve you.